Hey, and welcome to another episode of Grit in the Wild podcast. I'm your host, Adam Short,
And I'm your co-host, Melissa Short.
and together we're here to talk about toxic faith, spiritual abuse, religious trauma, cults of personality, hypercharismatic control churches, and a lot of in between. And today we are super excited because we have a special guest, Joy Bullard, who's joining us to share her story. And this is, you might remember, one of our previous episodes, her husband Andrew came on our podcast. And so we're super excited to have you, Joy, with us today. And Joy, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself and talk about what you're going to share with us today?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me and my husband, on your podcast. We'll be talking about a little bit of my story. As you guys have heard, Andrew's story was, I think, the previous episode. And so some of the stuff will fill in the blanks because we experience the same things from different views. I mean, I saw him and he saw me, but more than anything, set the story aside and what our intentions for it. Why are we coming on a podcast? Why would we talk publicly about these things? It's because we deeply care about the people who have been a part of groups like this, churches like this, who are a part or involved in churches like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to speak about these things because there are so many other people who we have heard their podcasts, we have read their stories on Substack, we have listened to them and seen their courage, and their language gave us freedom. The scripture says the truth will set you free. And we've just experienced truth setting us free when we have heard the truth of people's stories. It takes courage. And so we know that people in our community will likely hear this. We know that friends and family will likely hear this, and strangers. And we feel a responsibility for what we've seen, what we've experienced, to talk about it. Because of what we've been a part of. So I don't know. There'll be fun times, there'll be not fun times. We will laugh, we will cry. But we just hope that this will be a blessing to all who hear more than anything.
Thank you so much. And for our audience, this is going to be our part one. So we have actually two parts to Joy's story. So please feel free to watch both of those. We'll dive into part one today, and then we'll have the part two as well that we plan to release at the same time. We're super excited to have you, Joy. And your husband, Andrew, joined us recently as well to tell his story of which of course overlaps with your story with Gate City, Atlanta, and the IHOP orbit. So we're super thankful for you carving out time to join us today to share your side of the story, and really appreciate you, having the courage to come forward. I know this has been an ongoing saga for y'all. So welcome to the show. Super glad to have you, and looking forward to hearing about your story today.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm excited to share and just hopefully share stuff that can help people in situations like this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Joy, for our audience, why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us your, about your involvement with Gate City. I know in our previous episode with Andrew, he kind of gave some of the background around, how Gate City is connected to IHOP in Kansas City. However you want to frame that, and walk our audience through who you are and your involvement there. We'd love to hear more about that.
All right. So I joined, it's kind of, I think Andrew explained the merge and the church dynamic, but I joined staff at IHOP Atlanta when I was 20, and it was IHOP Atlanta. So it's called Gate City Church now, or Gate City House of Prayer, sometimes it's called. But it was back in 2013, I did my internship. So I moved from Oklahoma. I did a 3-month internship, which was basically like quit your job for 3 months and just be in the prayer room.
Right.
And that in and of itself, be in the prayer room, you're in community, you're taking 5 courses at the school of ministry that they offered. That was a very enriching time. And it was from there that I decided to join staff. And
Okay.
I was 20, so I had a job that I had back in Oklahoma. I was planning on moving back, And that's when I do my internship. And it was very clear to me, like that was where God was leading me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because looking back, my dad told me the summer before I moved to Atlanta, don't let anyone manipulate you. And I was like,
Wow.
what are you
Wow.
talking about? Like, who's going to like intentionally manipulate me? And I'd been a worship leader since I was 9 years old.
Wow.
So I was leading worship songs, I was leading full worship songs at 9 years old at our church. I was leading full worship teams at 13 years old. I had done it for a long time. And what he told me is, he said, you are exactly the type of person that they want. Don't get manipulated. And
Wow.
I took that. It was just interesting because I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was just like, oh, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks for being concerned, but
That he cared about me, but like, oh, Dad, you're just so great. And he was very unsure about the whole IHOP movement as a whole. But I got my life changed by it when I was a young girl.
Yeah.
In the prayer room, our church had a prayer room. It changed my life. So I was like, I'm not going to move there, Dad. I'm going to come back. Don't worry. Like, I don't even want to be in Atlanta. I have no family there. There were so many practical reasons why I didn't want to move.
Right.
But the bizarre thing is God really was speaking to me. And that's one thing I've gone over and over again. And I've looked back and thought, did anyone coerce me? Did anyone prophesy over me? Did anyone manipulate me? Now, what I have to say is before anyone prophesied over me, before anyone said anything, God was speaking to me. Like that is absolutely, like I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So how can I get here? Now, over the 3 months, I think there were like 9 different people who prophesied over me. There will be joy in the house of prayer. You're supposed to be in the house of prayer.
Wow.
And it's Isaiah 56:7. And at that point, it became my life verse. And there were people in that group of 9 that didn't know my name was Joy. They didn't know anything about me. They just saw me and was like, I got a word for you. It's this Isaiah 56:7 verse.
And what does that say? What does that verse say?
It says that the Lord will bring his people up from his holy mountain and there will be joy in the house of prayer. I can read it for you real quick.
Wow. So very personal for you because it's your name, literally.
Yes. So there were about half of those people knew my name, but there was like a legitimate half that knew nothing about me. Nor did they know what God was speaking to me about.
Yeah.
So I will say Billy, so the leader of the house of prayer, he did prophesy over me, or he didn't prophesy over me, but he like kind of pulled me aside and was like, I never do this to anyone. But I just feel like I'm supposed to ask, like, just say, maybe invite you to join us for a year. Which was at the time like, well, God's been speaking to me about this, so maybe this is a confirmation. I didn't feel pressured, but the thing that has stuck with me over the years is he said, I never do this. I just can count on like maybe one hand the people I've asked to do this, but he does tell people often, like, maybe you should
tell people that. Yeah.
So
looking back, that's a bit of a red flag for you. Like, that little phrase.
Yeah. And I would say like, not even, I don't know. I'm a very trusting person and I'm a literal person. So if you tell me something and you're not a terrible person, like you're a person that I trust, which is most people, in my life, I'm going to believe you.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, I remember you said that you don't do this ever, but I've seen you do it more than 10, like many times. So, but then again, I'm trusting. So anyway, join staff, which is like a year-long process because you have to raise support. For me, I had to move across the country. I had to do the class that was 3 months to raise support. I had to go and raise support, which was 3 months for me. So there was the internship, which was 3 months, take a class to learn how to raise support for 3 months, a 3+ month campaign to raise your support, and then you could be back. For me, that process took 1.5 years.
So it was 6 months to like focusing on just raising the money to pay to do the program, just to clarify. Okay. Gotcha.
And question too, Joy, were all those courses done at Gate City, or was there any overlap of those courses at IHOP KC at the quote unquote mothership?
No, nothing was done at IHOP Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew and I happened to both show up so this is at IHOP Atlanta too. So
Mm-hmm.
IHOP Atlanta, I mean, it's the mission was different than Gate City. So that's why I separate the names for the eras kind of.
Yeah.
Because it was run differently, but it was also run the same. It was just smaller. It was very different. But
Gotcha.
we happened to land at the House of Prayer at the time where there was someone who had developed a curriculum for IHOP Atlanta and taught it very well, or at least my experience was very well. Not everyone's experience was very well. But I think for Andrew and I, the way we work and the way the gifts that we have, and what we enjoy doing, it just worked really well. So it was the only time really that there was like a really fantastic education experience for raising support. Before then, I think there was no class in how to raise support. Everyone just kind of sent a letter.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that is one benefit. I mean, what we learned in that 3-month course did set us up to be able to raise support full-time for 10 years.
Okay.
Which was not the norm.
Right. I was going to say, of all of the stories that I've heard there, I can't actually think of any that is, if you can call it a success story. I don't want to minimize any of the other harm and stuff that's happened, but like to your point, the financial standpoint or the financial component sounds like it was, I mean, 10 years is a long time to live on support, particularly as you have a family. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah. And part of that is the relationships that our parents have had. I mean, when you're 20 years old and you're raising support, you're not raising support because you have great relationships with people. You're raising support because your parents are outstanding people who are reputable, who are trustworthy, because they're the people who, when you ask the 30 or 40-year-old, would you financially support me? They go to your parents and they say, what are they doing? Do you bless this?
Yeah.
Like that's the truth. And so we have been blessed with family who are just outstanding people, and that's part of it. So it's definitely not just us, but the tools learned in that class definitely set us up to be able to do it. And so yeah, but yeah, I joined staff. I met Andrew when I moved to Atlanta to learn how to raise support. So when I took that class, it was called the Ministry of Partner Development, MPD. And so I met him. Andrew was an intern, and we became great friends that summer. We're the same age. We did all the same stuff in the same circles. And he asked me out like 2 days after his internship ended, because he took like 3 months from like no entertaining dating anyone. And then I left for 3 to 4 months to raise support. So, and then we got married we started dating in August of 2014 and we got married in September of 2015.
Well, congrats. You got your 10-year coming up.
We do. Thank you.
Awesome. And so, and you've that's great. You walked us through kind of the first couple years there, the raising the support, internship, meeting Andrew. Here we are, 2015. What happens from there? Or do you want to go back and fill in any gaps in those first couple years? Totally up to you.
No, that's fine. I mean, those first years were like, I'm out of the coop. I mean, exploring life by myself for the first time. I'm one of 10, and I moved across the country by myself. So I was just like, this is a different life. People know me not because of my family now, because my family all does ministry, or a lot of them did ministry at the time. So it's just interesting. But I'll just move forward. So, I mean, when we were dating, Andrew was on night watch. So Andrew was going through the same process of raising support, taking the class. He just did it faster because he was living in town. He didn't have to travel 16 hours away to 2 different states to raise support. So he did his internship. He does 3 months internship. He immediately jumps into 3 months of Ministry of Partner Development. And then he immediately jumps into 3 months of fundraising. So 9 months, bam, 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 back to back. And when he raises support, he goes into night watch. So when we get married 9 months later, we're like, well, what are we going to do? Are you going to come out of night watch? And we both decided we're going to do night watch together. Like, I don't know, you're supposed to leave and cleave. What better to just like go do something radical together? So we walk off the plane from our honeymoon and stay up all night. Like we walk off the plane at like 2 p.m. We stay up all night to flip our schedule. And then we're full-time night watch from then on. Previous to that, I was a section leader in the afternoon section, and the prayer room is broken up into 4 sections. 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is morning, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. is afternoon, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. is not evening, and then 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. is night watch or night watch.
Yeah.
So morning, afternoon, evening, night. Mm-hmm. And I was the afternoon section leader, one of 3, which means you're responsible for those 42 hours a week of getting the worship and prayer covered. Musicians, singers, worship teams, all that stuff. I got out of that role when we planned the wedding because it was just a lot. And in that role, you're constantly filling sets. I mean, in Kansas City, their holes have been filled for a long time. In Atlanta, I've never known, COVID was the only moment that we were free from holes for a moment.
Oh, wow. Ironically.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that was a beautiful thing because I mean, when all the world is blowing up, people don't want prayer to stop. Like that's one of the only times that genuinely I really felt like this is what intercessory missionaries were created for, to be praying through moments like this, to be interceding through world events like this. But yeah, so when we joined Night Watch, I was like, I'm not going to lead the section. Nope. I'm not taking the night watch on my shoulders. Like I'm not doing it. I'm an administrative mind. I was a project manager at the company that I worked at before. I was like, I'm not taking this on, but I was asked to. And I was like, I just got married. I just planned a wedding. We're doing night watch, which is hard enough. It's a rigorous schedule. I just want to be married. I just want to pray. I just want to sing to Jesus. And I just want to do what I do my job well and not be stressed out by it because I knew it was a huge job. And the person leading it before us was crumbling under the pressure. So I said I would help in an assisting role, but I would not take it on by myself. And I would not step into that place of leadership. So I helped as the assistant section leader, but I made it clear. I was like, I want you to know, like, this is what I can do, which was what I was offering was far more than what like my job required. Ministry is such an interesting job because
totally
your bucket. And truly the first year in Night Watch, it was like the best time of our lives. We're young married people. We're going to work together every night. There were hard things about it, but like the weight of sustaining 24/7 was not on our shoulders. We just got to be people who offered our gift to in that place of getting 24/7 to continue, and rally people to it and minister in the young adults ministry. It was just so fun for so many. And I mean, we're doing the same job, right? We're staying up all night, sleeping all day. We fought a lot, but like we got to work through it because we had to, because we were together all the time. Like it was a really good foundational experience for me.
Yeah.
Good newlywed baptism by fire, if you will.
I can remember so many times driving to the prayer room in our little Kia Soul, and I'm like, I gotta go lead worship right now, and I gotta get my heart right because I'm like he's doing stuff, but then he's coming on after me, so we both have to lead worship, but we have 4 hours where we don't talk to each other because I'm going on for 2 hours, and then he's going on for 2 hours, so we have to wait till 4 a.m. but get our hearts right. And it was like the fear of God like really got to settle in and work on us of like, I have to forgive you right now at 11:50 because I'm going on. We had to transition 11:50, so I have to forgive you right now, even though I don't want to at 11:45 because I'm leading worship at 11:50. I'm not.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not
going to see Jesus and have that on my conscience. So anyway, but yeah, so that first like year was great. So that's through 2016. And the first, you mentioned red flags. Like, was that a red flag when my dad was like, don't let them manipulate you. Well, so eventually my parents did bless me. Like, I didn't join staff without their blessing. I joined staff with their blessing. We prayed together because when I called them originally, I was like, I'm joining staff. They were like, no, you're not. And I knew firmly in my heart, I can't do this and raise support. I can't do this in good conscience and move out without my father's blessing, truly, to even step into ministry. Like, that was I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to step into ministry serving God away from the blessing my parents who fear God. If they were unbelievers, I think it would be different.
Yeah.
So they did bless me. I was there, but I did always think about that manipulating thing that he said. But I don't know. I feel like you're 20, you're 21. You don't really know.
Yeah.
You don't have a frontal level. Like, you can't.
Right. Exactly.
You don't have experience. You kind of have to like live it to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
But, this is the first thing that like hit me. I think Andrew mentioned to it when Billy asked us to take over Night Watch. So it was the summer of 2017. It was hard. The Night Watch schedule is very rigorous because you go to sleep at like 7 a.m, or you should. You're not always able to, but oftentimes you're driving home in the sunshine, which causes you to wake up. Our schedule is different than Kansas City's schedule. So Kansas City, I don't know for sure what they do now but they typically go to sleep at like 10 a.m, 12 in the afternoon, something like that, so they can get daylight hours, or maybe it's like 2 p.m. I don't know. They go to sleep at a very different time so that they sleep pretty much. It's probably like 12 in the afternoon, and they sleep till like 8 p.m. or something like that. So they get daylight hours. You can have that nutritional benefit of like vitamin D, seeing people, scheduling meetings, all that stuff. Well, we slept from about 7 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. would be really good. Maybe 5 p.m. is sleeping in, but we also had meetings to make because we were assistant section leaders. So we had to wake up sometimes at 1. And we ended up realizing about a year into it that our lives were in Lawrenceville, Georgia, but we were living in Australia time.
Yeah.
Like, so you're just like in perpetual jet lag. And that's how we ended up, because we realized we couldn't explain it to family members why we can't make birthday parties. So like, why can't you just wake up at 12? Like, well,
yeah, kind of like it'd be like saying, why can't you wake up at 3 a.m. and come to a birthday party?
Yes. I got sassy a couple of times with people that I was really close with, and I was like, hey, next time I have a birthday party at 2 a.m, I expect you to be there.
Right.
It's not okay, but like, they got it. Oh, this is like, it's the easiest thing in the world to wake up early, right? I wake up at 5 a.m. Can't you wake up a couple hours early?
And you're like, I do wake up early. I wake up at 3 p.m. How early do you want me to wake up? I wake up before you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. But so anyway, we were experiencing challenges. And again, this is looking back. I know this. Looking back, my mental health was not great. I mean, there were days in the winter we didn't see the sun for days and days because
that's hard.
You go to sleep dark, you wake up dark. There's always weight gain in the first year of marriage, but like I had weight gain as a result of like not eating well, but not having time to exercise. Because I had to work from 11:30 to 6 a.m. I had to go to sleep before the sun rose so that I didn't get kicked with a ton of energy. Because I had to be back at the house of prayer the next night. I had to make all the meetings before. It was very challenging to work all those things in. And my mental health began deteriorating, and I experienced panic attacks, and you don't know what you don't know when you're in the middle of that for the first time. And at the same time, we have the call of God to keep 24/7 rolling. So, but that first moment when Billy was like, I think I'd like for you guys to take over Night Watch. That was one of the first red flags that I know now, but I didn't know it then. It was really after the Mike Bickle stuff came out, when they're talking about the language of how prophecy was used, how leaders would get people to do things, that I was like, oh my gosh, that's what happened. But
okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you give us the timeline? What was the date that he asked you to take over the Night Watch? Can you give us the timeline with that?
Yeah, I can give you the timeline. It was the summer of 2017. So
2017. Okay.
August.
Okay.
August, June, something like that. Sorry, June
Okay.
or July, not August. One of those. So it was in the summer.
And can I ask you another question? Because I feel like this piece here that you're honing in on around the prophecy, and
Mhm.
then kind of like your post learning, like post Bickelgate, looking back. Like, can you unpack that a little more around for you specifically? How did that prophecy? What's my question? How did that prophecy hit you, or how? Looking at that now, how did that impact you? How was it used? How did Billy use that? If you care to share, if you prefer not to, totally understand.
Oh no, totally. Great question. So, the way it went down was this. It was very unassuming. It wasn't really a "Thus saith the Lord" public delivery. It was, "Hey, I'd like to have you over for dinner. I want to just talk with you guys about some stuff." We had a feeling that he was going to ask us to take over night watch because the previous leader had a set date to exit and they had no replacement. I
Okay.
didn't put my ring in the hat because, again, I'm the assistant who's like, I know the pressure that this carries because I did it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm not taking overnight. Like, no, this isn't happening. I
Mhm.
was a full-time employee. Andrew was a part-time employee. So he was
Okay.
part-time, which is like 20 hours, part-time at IHOP at the time. He was part-time in school. And then he had a part-time radio show that was in the middle of the
Oh,
night at a Christian radio station. So we go to Billy's house and it's him, his wife, me, and my husband. We
Mhm.
eat, we're talking, catching up. This didn't happen also at this time. Like we were not, going to his house wasn't a normal thing at this point.
Okay.
And conversation wanes, and what ends up happening is he says, "Hey, I just really feel like, I mean, Melanie's moving on. I just really feel like God is calling you guys to," or he looked at me. He said, "I feel like God is calling you, Joy, to take over the night watch." And we sat there and I was like, the wheels are spinning.
Mhm.
Like, me? Like,
Just you, not Andrew.
just me. Andrew's right there. He's sitting right there. He's an employee. He's
Right.
also very gifted at many different things. At this time, I was a main worship leader for their weekend service, a worship leader for their young adult service. I was doing a lot.
Yeah.
Me. So that's what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Why are you asking me?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Why aren't you asking him or both of
Mhm.
us? Why are you asking me?" I forget what he said then, but that was the exclamation point that I felt of like, "Why are you asking me? This is so strange."
Yeah.
Like, we're both employees. And then I said something to the effect of, "Are you sure you aren't asking me? Are you prophesying? Do you really feel like God is asking me to do this? Or are
Mhm.
you just saying that because, well, like, why don't you just ask us to do it? Like, why
That's
are
Right.
you
what you said
God
to
said to
him.
do it?
That's
Why don't you say, 'Hey,
oh,
I need someone'? Are you sure you don't just need someone?"
Yeah.
that is, I mean,
Props to you
amazing.
for
Like
saying that. Yeah.
most of us didn't and wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
to have that the wherewithal to like,
yeah,
oh, this kind of like your third party watching this as an observer,
yeah.
like, oh, I see what you did there, type of thing.
Yeah. So what did he say?
I have the gift of being able to say very pointed things and not understanding what I'm saying when I'm saying, like, when I said it, I was like, like, "Are you sure you're prophesying? Like, did you really like?" So I didn't backpedal,
Yeah.
but I didn't stand my ground. Like, that's something that I wish I would have been
Mm.
like, "Do you see what you did there?" Because
Yeah.
there's so many more times after that.
Mm.
It was just normal to be, I just feel
Yeah.
like God is saying this. And it caused us to pray about it in a different way. Like, if a guy is
Absolutely. Yeah.
here asking
Yeah.
you, "I just need someone. Would you do this just because I need someone?" That's different than
Right.
God has said you. So I'm asking you on behalf of God, would you do this? That's like,
Yeah.
Is God asking me, or is the director who could also fire me asking me?
Yeah, that's such a good point, because it's like that person in authority, when they start using that language, you're right. Like, we automatically think and look at it completely different than if it were posed as a question, or saying even I'm feeling like maybe, yeah. So I totally hear you on that. That's such a big problem with all this stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
What did Billy say back? Do you remember?
He said I don't remember exactly the words, but it was something to the effect of like, "Oh no, well, yeah, we do need someone." Because something else that I said is, "Why are you not asking us?" It was kind of like a multiple faceted question. Are you sure you don't just need the position filled? Like, and why aren't you asking both of us? Why me? So it was, like, you can both do it together. Like, totally. It doesn't have to just be you. Smooth it over to the effect that, like, I was like, oh yeah, oh totally, he's asking both of us. So we walked out of the meeting.
You kind of glossed over that and sort of like, oh yeah, okay, he's asking as a unit, let's just, move forward and chalk it up as maybe that's what he meant, but he just didn't say it.
Totally. And again, I'm trusting. Andrew was shocked that I said what I said about, are you sure you don't just need someone to fill the position? You're like, so, but yeah, we left that meeting feeling a couple things. One, this is really weird that he asked just me. I just couldn't get over that. I was like, why would he just ask me? This just doesn't make sense that you would approach a young couple and just ask the wife in front of the husband. And then two, oh my gosh, we have the opportunity to lead the only other 24/7 House of Prayer Night Watch. This is such an honor. This is so possibly exciting. Is this what God is leading us into? And I think we were kind of high on the buzz of, we're young 20-year-olds, or we were 22 at the time. We're young 22-year-olds, and we've been asked to do this great, incredible responsibility. Yeah. So the decision from that, we prayed about it. We didn't just say yes based on that. The decision from that after prayer was, we're going to take over the night watch. We gave them a 1 year. We said, we're doing this for 1 year, and then we're out of the night watch completely. And
which would have put you to what, 2018?
Yep, 2018, the summer of 2018. So that was kind of our decision. We're going to do it for 1 year. Andrew and I told him, something else I said in that meeting is, I'm not doing this without him. Like, you're asking me, but I'm not doing it without him. So if Andrew doesn't say yes, we're not. No, like, I'm not even going to do it by myself. If I felt like it was God, I can't. The crushing pressure, I'm not going to do that. And that's what I did say that to him.
I have a question about that. I don't mean to take away from, but I'm just curious now, looking back at him just asking you, like, have you come to any conclusion about why you think he just asked you, like, looking back, or are you still not sure?
Well, I can't speak for him, so I don't know. I don't want to, especially for people listening, I don't know what's going on in that moment, but I can share from my experience in later years. There were many more instances where I got asked with Andrew right next to me, not us together. And it would have been a role better suited for him than me. Okay. But I also got asked so many times when it didn't make sense. I had a lot on my plate, and Andrew didn't have a lot on his plate. So, like, 2 full-time employees, why aren't you tapping all the employees or interviewing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Churches don't, not all churches. I'm connected with an Anglican church in town, and they're very business oriented. It's business, the way they handle their staff. It's just culture shock to see it. And to think that way. And shocking. Yeah. There's a church that does business, like, you have PTO and you have, like, all these other things. So, or there's an interview process. If you want this other job, there's a pay increase. If you want this other job, like, that just wasn't, and it was disorienting. So there are multiple occasions later on where I confronted other leaders. There was one leader that I worked with often, very, very often in the worship world. And so Andrew and I are both worship leaders, both musicians. Andrew was a communications major, and he had public relations, emphasis or something. And so he's educated. I did not go to college. So there's a difference where he has that. He did a radio show, so he's great with communications, all that stuff. But he was never, ever given an opportunity to do stuff like that in that realm. But I was. I think the only difference is I'm a little bit more bubbly and I don't know, in person. I don't know. What I've told Andrew is I'm like, it's like they see me first, but not you. And I don't know why. But I was one of the main worship leaders for a very long time, and he wasn't. He did very much learn how to become a worship leader over the years. So maybe it's me being on stage all the time. That
visibility.
Yeah. But there was a moment years later where I directly said to one of the people I was working with, one of the leaders, and I said, I'm so frustrated that you don't see my husband. You see me and you want to put all this stuff on me, but he's over here. We're both raising the support team. We're both like doing the hard work, and you're not giving him anything to do. He's not getting developed, and you're trying to put it all on me. I can't do it all. Like, I'm so frustrated that you don't see him. Ask him about it, not me. And they didn't. So
these were kind of like your first iterations and rounds of objection, or like challenging, even, I don't know if you want to call it that, or almost like a little bit of pushback there. You're questioning, you're kind of asking why and things like that, it sounds like.
Yes. So, I mean, when I first came on staff, my experience was, I was actually just talking to Andrew this the other day. If I don't have a practical reason so I'm an Enneagram 1. If you know anything about Enneagram 1s, they love rules, but if it's a stupid rule, they'll break it because it's
like the speed limit, right?
True. Oh my gosh, we love rules.
Like you have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on a 7-lane highway with no stoplights. I kind of relate to that a little bit. Yeah.
Right. So like we love rules because rules make sense and rules are there for protection. But if it's a stupid rule, why are we doing it? Like, like at the pool, if you're swimming at the pool and it starts raining, why are we getting out? We got to hear lightning.
Yes,
if it's raining, no, lifeguard, I can swim. I didn't hear thunder. Like, so there are things like that over time, I wouldn't overtly be rebellious, but I would like ask the questions, but I would get told often like, and I didn't know this at the time. That's the thing. I know this now because of the past 2 years of like people unpacking their stories with what's happened at Kansas City and people like you guys going on podcasts, just sharing experiences and people giving me the words because they're saying what they experienced. And I'm like, that's it. That's the words I never had. But, those are just things that are like, I would question and then get like dressed down. I would question and then, well, it's just that way. I even had people told me like, you're just aggressive. You're just aggressive and you need to tone it down. So I really believed for a long time I'm aggressive. I have some sort of aggression that I need to handle. When in fact, I was just asking questions. And it was my prayer for years, like, oh my gosh, I just want to be soft. I just want to be gentle. I just want to be like a woman that's like soft and gentle. But again, those leaders were never held accountable. Those questions were never answered. I remember, and this is another one of those red flag moments. While we're on the topic of red flag moments, we're just going to skip ahead a couple of years and go to the next red flag moment. Does that work?
That's a
yeah, absolutely.
Red flag podcast. The next red flag moment was just like, or the big one that I can kind of identify now as I'm like having in the process over the past couple of years of processing kind of what we've been through is I was in a meeting where there was a leader that I was working with. It was a normal meeting for me. It was normal. There was some conflict, as there is with stuff. And I had a friend who had just joined. So she was a friend, but then she just joined staff and she came to me after the meeting and she pulled me aside. She's like, Joy, are you okay? I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Am I okay? She's like, he like was really mean to you in that meeting. And I was like, No, 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 no. He's always like that to me. And
Yeah.
she sat there.
Mm.
She took a deep breath. She said, he's always like that to you? I was like, yeah, it's just normal. It's just the way, I don't know. It's just the way we are. She said, he doesn't treat anyone else like that.
Oh, wow.
And he shouldn't treat you that way. And she said it with such force. And she's a very calm person. She wasn't loud, but her like gentle voice was so forceful. And she's like, he treats you that way. The next week we had the same meeting with the same people. And another friend came to me. And she said the same thing. She said, dude, he is treating you weird. I don't know what's going on. He's treating you. And I was like, that is just the way this person treats me. Like, I don't know what you guys are saying. That it's just the way he treats me. And at this
It would
point,
become normal to have these. You were completely oblivious to it because it was normal to you, right? Like,
and this person, I will say, this person in recent years has repented, has apologized. I don't know if their behavior has changed because I don't interact with them now. This person would regularly come to me and apologize, but the behavior would never change. Never change.
okay.
Behavior was like the same, but that's part of the reason I never really took it as like, oh, they're treating me different, because they would repent to me regularly. And sometimes I wouldn't know why. I'd be like, okay, I forgive you. But this person would say, you're just aggressive. You have some sort of offense that you need to get through. They would say things to me that were helpful and like, okay, great, I can work on that. But they wouldn't help me work on it. Things like, you bring a certain energy to a meeting that is unhelpful, and I just need you to not do that. What is the energy? What did I say? There was no pinpointing back to a moment of what was said or like how I can improve. It was just over years. It was years of, you always bring this energy. You always bring this energy. And I'd be like, does anyone else think I bring this energy? I'm so like, oh my gosh, I don't want to bring that energy. Like, I want to change. And
that
nothing I did.
So confusing too. Like, as you're describing that, like, you have people telling you this is like not okay how this person's speaking to you. Yes. And then you're told, right, you're aggressive. And then this person's coming to apologizing to you. So I can just imagine, like, how confusing that is.
Yeah, it was. So having those two friends, it was really the second friend that like, I was like, oh my gosh, this other person said it too. Yeah. What am I missing? Yeah. And it was specifically, they both said they only treat you that way. That stuck with me, because then I started to see it. I stopped making excuses in my own heart for like, oh, they're just having a bad day, or, oh, I bring this aggression because that person said I bring this aggression. Are they telling anyone else this? But also, I'm not trying to, I'm working on, I don't know. There was just nothing good enough. So I started to see things a little bit differently. And it led to a meeting where this person yelled at me in front of the whole room. And he said, Joy, stop talking right now. Stop talking right now. And it was in a meeting that I was the head of the department. So the way our meetings were done were like the Lencioni. I don't know if you know anything about the Patrick Lencioni model.
Heard of it, but don't know anything about it.
Great book.
Maybe you could, if you want to.
First of all, great book. First of all, if you want to know how to run an effective meeting, that is an excellent resource in how to run an effective meeting. It kind of ruined the meetings for me forever, because I'm like, they're very effective.
Y'all are doing meetings wrong.
But I mean, it makes, I mean, it takes an hour meeting, makes it really productive. But the key of this model is you have to have one person who's like giving the structure and saying, we're going to talk about this now. We're talking too long on this, so we're going to move on. So this person was that in that role, but they didn't know how to be that role. And you kind of have to manage if conflict breaks out, meaning like two people have differing opinions. You got to learn how to manage. Hey, let's listen to each other. I see we're at odds. We got to come to a decision. How do we do that? Do you hear what they're saying? You got to kind of manage that. And the way of managing was pointing to me from across the room saying, Joy, stop talking right now. and then pointing over to this person who was a head pastor. And this head pastor had no understanding of the department I was running. I was we were talking about like tryouts or something like that. And it was something I was over in how to handle it. And it was, I just had to go with whatever was. And there are situations in work where you do have to go over whatever was, but it was the outrage and yelling at me that shook everyone in the room. It shook everyone in the room. So we go from that meeting, which was like a 2-hour meeting, straight into another 1.5-hour meeting with half of the people were there. And we have this thing where we start our meetings where it's, how are you coming into this meeting? So give 2 feeling words for how you're coming into the meeting. And everybody
had to go around and say that.
Yep. So you have a handful of people coming in new, fresh, and then a handful of people leaving and a handful of people staying. And
why was that? Was it just different? The next meeting was focused around the other half of the people's roles and not the former half? Or was it just an arbitrary?
It was 2 separate meetings happening that happened to be back to back. So one meeting was about tryouts. The other meeting was about worship community, and the projects we have going, the events we have going, all that stuff. So not everyone in the worship community leadership team was part of the tryout,
Gotcha.
thing. And at this point we were merging. So we were merging IHOP and a previous merged church that was a merge between an independent fundamental Baptist church and an Assemblies of God church that is now something else. And 2 years later, they're merging with us. So we're figuring out how to do the tryout process. It was very, that's part of why it was heated, but also it doesn't warrant you outbursting at someone who, anybody. I mean, it doesn't mean, you don't even have to be the lead of a department to do that. You just don't yell at people.
Yeah. And I find that ironic because, right, you're being told you're being aggressive, but yet it's okay from the top leaders to yell.
That's a good point.
It just makes me think of I feel like it's lacking sometimes in church leadership, emotional intelligence, the skills to be able to communicate. It's okay for them to communicate this way, but it's not okay for the ones bringing the concerns or the questions or the pushback.
Yeah. And this person didn't yell that way previous or after. That was an isolated incident with me. I don't know about anything else, but that was an isolated incident. But the dynamic of switching meetings was people coming in for the new meeting. I remember this guy's wife walks in to bring him lunch because it was over the lunch hour. And she says, "Whoa, what happened in here?" And tears are rolling down my face as people are coming in and out because 30 minutes before I was yelled at. And I have nothing. I mean, I was so disoriented. And I'm usually a contributor to meetings. I'm usually a critical thinker in meetings and, hey, let's problem solve and things like that. At least I think that. I think that, and all of my closest friends and family think that. This person did not. That's what I have come to realize. In that moment, we do the feeling words. And so you have some people who are coming in new and they're like, "Oh, I'm kind of frazzled, but doing really good." And then you have some other people and it gets to me and I forget what I said. I said something so, I wish I remember what I said. Oh, it was good because everyone beforehand knew, because we didn't talk about what happened in that meeting. We didn't talk about it.
Nobody said anything about it.
No one said anything. No, here's
taboo.
Just brush over, move on.
I think I ended up getting up and walking out of that meeting halfway through.
The second one.
Yeah, and just saying I have to go.
Good for you though.
Yeah, I guess. I will say on the thread and theme of this person did repent often. The person did call me. They called me that day, that night, or the next day. They did say, "I'm sorry." They asked someone else in the meeting, "Did I treat Joy wrong?" They knew. They knew what they did. And the person he asked happened to be the person who said to me, "That person treats you different. This isn't okay." So he didn't know we had that conversation. And this person my friend takes the liberty of saying, yeah, and you do that too much. You treat her wrong too much. So he was aware at that moment. The behavior didn't stop though. I mean, I think that was, it didn't stop. So that was around 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And because we're moving on theme of red flags, not necessarily linear at this point.
Right.
And that was one of the things of like, there's this weird stuff where we had a culture of repentance. We had a culture of humility, but no accountability. It's even said from this day, we have a culture of accountability. You can go to Gate City's website and see all the ways they hold people accountable, but I do not buy it because I've walked through those processes of accountability and they do not work. And it came, that's
something that made me think of that too is like that's sounds like such a common thing, and we've also experienced that in our story. We're right, people can be genuinely sorry, right? We're saying that, oh, I'm so sorry for what I did, but no change behavior. And unfortunately, like, right, like that is not repentance, because the repentance is actually the changed behavior. So it's like, right, again, I don't know this person. Maybe they're, genuinely that was the best they knew how to do. But I think you're speaking to an issue that's just across the board, like
totally
words and actions, right? Not aligning. And it causes a lot of damage and harm. Again, unintentionally or intentionally.
Yeah.
It's confusing to be part of an environment or a leadership structure where that's going on.
Totally. And it was something that people saw. That's what was so hard. People in my life who cared about me. At this point, it was coworkers, so it wasn't like family, because family wasn't in the meeting. But man, I know if my father-in-law had seen it, because I don't have my parents living. Well, my parents live in town now, but they didn't at the time. If he had seen the way, if he had known, he'd be like, "That's not okay." If my mother-in-law, if any of Andrew's siblings, or so that was what was wild. Is like there's some people here who are saying that's not okay, but what do you do about it?
Yeah.
Also, when the person is repentant, and that was also brought up by this person, I repented to you. Let's move on. And I didn't have the words then to say, yeah, but your behavior hasn't changed. I was 24 at the time, 23, something like that. I am the new person still, just a couple years here. That person had been here, I think, over a decade at that point. So it's like, what do I have to offer? I'm just the young person who doesn't really know. And yeah, you have repented. You're right. Like, am I going to hang that over your head that you have? No, because you have. So then how do you bring in someone else? Like that's the thing for me is if you're doing Matthew 18, we would come to that place where it's, hey, you said this, it wasn't right. Hey, I did this, it wasn't right. I'm sorry. I'm repentant. The behavior doesn't change. Hey, I'm sorry, that wasn't right. Can you forgive me? Oh, I forgive you. But like, at what point do you bring someone in? Because the person is repentant. But the same thing happened.
But it sounds like there was no real up channel to involve somebody higher up, as it were, right? To come in and then adjudicate or referee or whatever it was, because they themselves were not being held accountable by either their peers or hires up.
Right. And at this point,
even if there were any hires up, which it sounds like there weren't, because you got to Billy and that was the top of the pyramid.
Well, it was just very vague, and it was changing often because we were merging.
Okay.
So when we merged, we went from a house of prayer that has an ELT, the executive leadership team, and that's the top. That's it. And then the leaders, which was us. And then worship leaders, I don't know. That was pretty much it. There wasn't many other people, because under section leaders, the section leaders dealt with a lot of the worship stuff. So you'd have things that branched off, but like the worship leader group didn't report necessarily to the section leaders. They did for scheduling, but not for like determining protocol, because the section leaders weren't worship leaders. So how are they supposed to speak? Anyway, like there's just a lot of things that were messy. But when we merged, it got so much bigger. You have the church department, you have the children's department, you have the 24/7 prayer room. And also with a 24/7 prayer room, your staff is usually pretty large. I think when we merged, we had 50 something staff, maybe 60. I don't know, like prayer room staff. That's a big staff. Like
Yeah.
a church of 500 doesn't have 50 staff members.
No.
So the staff dynamic was shifting and ever changing. And in the middle of that, we were told, you just got to wait. You just got to hold on. You just got to go low. We just got to be humble while the changes are happening. And I remember and there's structure set up. So we had an organizational chart where it's like, if you need to bring something up, here's how you climb the ladder and who to go to. So for us, we reported to that person who was treating me that way for so long.
Your first line of like who you had to go to if you were to. Okay.
Yeah. And again, rule follower right here to the T, even when it's not great and it's stupid, but like rule follower. And this situation was my job. So I just thought about things a little bit differently, but it's also your job, your calling.
Yeah, it's all mixed.
Oh my gosh. Like if I was an accountant, that's not my calling. I'd think about it differently.
Yeah. Hey guys, so we're going to pause there with Joy's story part 1, and we're actually going to have a separate episode covering part 2 of her story. So please tune in, watch the next episode of our podcast. We're going to cover the other half of Joy's story. But until next time, thanks for watching and take care. See you soon.